Tuesday night, the Hoboken Housing Authority approved a resolution that amended a shared services agreement between the Hoboken Housing Authority and the West New York Housing Authority, which now makes Robert DiVincent the interim director in Hoboken. Richard Fox, who took over as acting director since Carmelo Garcia was fired, has been delegated back to a consulting role for the Hoboken Housing Authority.
But the first resolution before us is the resolution to formally enter into the shared services agreement with West New York.
Okay, now we're going to have an acting director and an interim, right? So we're going to have two salaries?
We will not. We will have, the interim director will be Director DiVincent, and Mr. Fox will go back into a management consultant capacity.
Okay, thank you.
So this agreement has been negotiated, and I have to say that West New York has been stupendous about allowing us to put clauses that were important to us in the agreement. For example, originally the agreement didn't have a termination clause, and we need to be able to terminate the contract for when we find the next executive director. So we lobbied for and got those things into the interlocal services agreement. Copies of it will be made available to the public if you wish.
Yeah, I just want to point out, because it was raised by a member of the public in the last meeting, that the Corporation Council for the City of Hoboken was consulted on just the terms of this contract. It amounted to maybe a few hours of consultation, and that is both a good thing that we can do that and something that we should capitalize on. We have to understand that housing authorities, the federal housing authorities, a lot of the funding comes from the federal government. There's also a tremendous amount of state law and also local involvement that should be involved in any housing authority. So it is fully appropriate that she looked over the agreement, and I think it was an advantage to us that she was able to look over the agreement.
After briefly suspending the agenda to await the arrival of Commissioner Robert Davis, the board approved the interlocal services agreement by a unanimous vote of 6-0. Barbara Reyes, the Hoboken Housing Authority Resident Advisory Board President and a strong supporter of Garcia, slammed the board for the move since DiVincent, Fox, and Garcia would now all need to be paid by the authority at the same time.
My question is, what will be Mr. DiVincent's pay for the time being? Because it seems that there's a concern. Mr. Fox is getting paid as an executive director as per the meeting where executive director Garcia was terminated. He's supposed to be paid a certain amount, and now we're paying DiVincent. That's a concern. We just got letters that the housing authority is in a deficit, that we have issues. So how are we paying 3 executive directors?
That's a really good question, and I understand how at first glance it would raise eyebrows, but with the shared services agreement with West New York, we're getting access to Director DiVincent and his staff and their vendors, and combined with Mr. DiVincent and Mr. Fox, we're still saving money.
So you're saving money paying 3 executive directors, including Mr. Garcia, because I believe he still had 120 days that he needed to be paid for.
Well, that aside, between the two, we are saving money.
Between the two, but we're not saving money. We're not saving money. We're spending money. Don't say we're saving money, because we have to pay 3 individuals. You're not talking to an idiot.
DiVincent, who had the shared services agreement approved by West New York minutes earlier, arrived at the tail end of the HHA meeting to address the public.
This board was always here to set policy, but the board has concerns. The board thought enough about those concerns to bring me in, regardless of what happened. And I'm not here to judge. I also the person who brought Carmelo in. Okay? So I'm not here judging anyone. I don't know what, I wasn't watching you on a daily basis. I don't know what contracts were issued. I don't know what went on before. I only know what's going to go on from this point forward. And what's going to go on from here forward is we're going to look at the authority. We're going to see what condition the authority is in. We're going to see what transpired before and what we can fix going forward for the Hoboken Housing Authority.
I'm John Heides with the Hudson County View, the eye of the community.